Everybody here today to Mount Cass on behalf of all the staff and the owners. I've got a couple of interesting people to speak to you today, which I'll introduce in a minute, and Willie. But I thought for a start I'd just tell you about the sheep on Mount Cass and the place, just an overview. We started the Wiltshires 13 years ago, and it was only sort of bred out of necessity, wondering how we were going to deal with sheep and organics. And we brought in Wiltshire ewe lambs and rams, and we really struggled with the rams to get what we wanted. And so we decided to start a small stud of our own, and that's how this whole process started. We didn't use a lot of technology early on, but we scanned for back fat and eye muscle and ensured that all the hoggets were rearing lambs. And we started to make a bit of progress with the shedding and the really bald hair sheep. And then when the market dictated that we had a lot of demand for what we wanted, we've just increased the stud to meet that demand, really. Trevor Cook will talk in a minute over here. David Scobie will talk in a minute. But first of all, Willie will give you a bit more detail on the stud. And Willie's the stud manager.
Yeah, I'll just give you guys a bit of a brief rundown on how the stud's sort of been running over the past few seasons. In 2020 we made it around 300 stud ewes, and they were put onto sill. They scanned 186% and lambed 150% to the ram, which we were really pleased with. In February 2021 we went through all our commercial turtles and fortos, roughly 3,500 Wiltshire sheep, and selected roughly 350 turtles and 350 fortos to join our stud. This meant we now had a stud of about 1,000 stud ewes, which were all screened into the Mount Cass Wiltshire stud and on sill. This year at mating we AI'd 50 ewes to a composite shedding ram from low footprint lamb stud in Australia. Their flock is in the top 1% for post-wean feck for any breeds on lamb plan in Australia. They're exceptional for foot rot and lamb survival. We also did a bit of fresh AI with a ram that we bought from Tim Cower, and we strategically mated all our Myomax ewes to a Myomax ram to enhance that gene. Looking forward to next season, we're planning on AIing 100 to 200 ewes to Xlana rams from the UK. The reason for Xlana is to broaden our genetic pool. We believe they will enhance fertility a little bit. They are also exceptional for feck, as they are bred for worm resistance. Mating this season was relatively challenging at Mount Cass. From a feed perspective, there was no green feed at tupping, which meant we had to train the stud ewes onto barley. By the 29th of May we'd only had 124 mils of rain, but by the 1st of June we'd had 324 mils of rain. This season we ended up feeding out 150 tonnes of barley, and in a good year we wouldn't feed any barley out. 6,000 commercial mixed age Wiltshire ewes scanned 175%, the 1,500 turtles scanned 163%, the 550 mixed age stud ewes scanned 179%, the 450 stud turtles scanned 159%. I'll just briefly talk about our drenching policy for our stud hoggets. Our stud hoggets get their first worm drench when the teaser goes out on the 20th of April at 7 months of age. Any hoggets that aren't up to mating weight of 38 kilos at this stage are not retained in the stud. The hoggets were given 2 cycles to get in lamb, and only the in-lamb hoggets are retained in the stud. This year the stud hoggets scanned 102%, and the commercial hoggets that were run with these scanned 120%. The only difference in management is the commercial ewe hoggets were drenched at weaning, and they were a little bit older. The stud hoggets got their last worm drench for their lifetime at set stocking. For all our stud sheep that are retained in the flock, we have a no shear, no crutch and no dip for fly policy. We do a pretty easy care lambing and try to go around the stud ewes once a day when they're really busy. The hoggets lamb really well this year, and I only had to lamb 1 stud hogget, and not one hogget died over lambing. Commercial flock this year lambed 135% to the ram, the stud flock lambed 140% to the ram, commercial hoggets 81%, and stud hoggets 84% to the ram. This year at tailing, we decided to measure the tail length of all our lambs. The reason for this is we believe we can breed a shorter tail to meet market demand, as it is a highly heritable trait. Our ram hoggets this year have never had a worm drench in their life, and they've only had 3 5-in-1s and 1 organic mineral drench. This year we dosed 9 2-tooth rams, 3 from each of our sires, for facial eczema. We're very aware that facial eczema plays a major part in selection for a lot of ram buyers in the North Island, and facial eczema may well affect us here one day, if not already. The rams were dosed at a rate of 0.23, 5 rams had no sign of liver damage, 4 had slight damage, and I'm happy to share the results with anyone that's interested in the facial eczema. Cheers.